everyone, welcome to my vlog. So for today's video is all about the life of Rabindranath Tagore and Mahatma Gandhi. Rabindranath Tagore was born in Calcutta. Tagore began to write verse at an early age. After completing studies in England in the late 1870s, he returned to India where he published several books of poetry starting in the 1880s. In 1901, Tagore founded an experimental school in Chandikitan where he sought to blend the best of Indian and Western traditions. Tagore traveled, lectured, and read his poetry extensively in Europe, the Americas, and Asia, and became a spokesperson for India independence from British colonial rule. Rabindranath Tagore's writing is deeply rooted in both Indian and Western learning traditions. Apart from fiction in the form of poetry, songs, stories, and dramas, it also includes portrayals of common people's lives, literary criticism, philosophy, and social issues. Rabindranath Tagore originally wrote in Bengal, but later reached a broad audience in the West after recasting his poetry in English. In contrast to precise life in the West, his poetry was felt to convey the pace of the soul in harmony with nature. Rabindranath Tagore was the youngest son of Debendranath Tagore, a leader of the Brahmo Samaj, which was a new religious sect in 19th century Bengal and which attempted a revival of the ultimate monastic basis of Hinduism as laid down in the Upanishads. He was educated at home, and although at 17 he was sent to England for formal schooling, he did not finish his studies there. In his mature years, in addition to his many-sided literary activities, he managed the family estates, a project which brought him into close touch with common humanity and increased his interest in social reforms. He also started as an experimental school at Chandikitan where he tried his optimistic ideals of education. From time to time, he participated in the Indian nationalist movement, though in his own non-sentimental and visionary way. And Gandhi, the political father of modern India, was his devoted friend. Tagore was knighted by the ruling British government in 1950. Of his poems, he became rapidly known in the West. In fact, his fame attained a luminous height, taking him across continent on lecture tours and tours of friendship. For the world, he became the voice of India's spiritual heritage, and for India, especially for Bengal, he became a great living institution. Mohandas Gandhi was born in the western part of British-ruled India on October 2, 1869. A timid child, he was married at 13 to a girl of the same age, Kasturbai. Following the death of his father, Gandhi's family sent him to England in 1888 to study law. There, he became interested in the philosophy of nonviolence as expressed in the Bhagavad Gita, Hindu sacred scripture, and in Jesus Christ's Sermon on the Mount in the Christian Bible. He returned to India in 1891, having passed the bar, but found little success in his attempts to practice law. Seeking a change of scenery, he accepted a position in South Africa for a year, where he assisted on the lawsuit. In South Africa, he became involved in efforts to end discriminations against the Indian minority there, who were oppressed both by the British and by the Boers, descendants of the original Dutch settlers of the region. Having intended to stay a year, he ended up remaining until 1940. He founded the Natal Indian Congress, which worked to further Indian interests, and commanded an Indian medical corps of both on the British side in the Boer War, in which the British conquered the last independent Boer republics. After the war, Gandhi's reputation as a leader grew. He became even more adamant in his personal principles, practicing sexual abstinence, renouncing modern technology and developing Satyagraha, literary soul force. Satyagraha was a method of non-violent resistance, often called non-cooperation, that he and his allies used to great effect against the white governments in South Africa. Their willingness to endure punishment and jail earned the admiration of people in Gandhi's native India, and eventually won concessions from the Boer and British rulers. By 1914, when Gandhi left South Africa and returned to India, he was known as a holy man. People could call him a Maha, great soul. At this point, he was still loyal to the British Empire, but when the British cracked down on Indian civil liberties after World War I, Gandhi began to organize non-violent protests. The Amritsar massacre, in which British troops gunned down peaceful Indian protesters, convinced Gandhi and India of need for self-rule, and in the early 20s, Gandhi organized a large-scale campaigns of non-cooperation and paralyzed the subcontinent's administration and led to his imprisonment from 19